while I'm waiting for this to come up, I'm actually going to be talking about being the perspective of the perspective of an outsider, because I am from the U.S. But I have been in your shoes as a transit operator, a regulator, and a grantor, and now I'm in the private sector. So I've been on the other side, but I've been on your side also. First of all, you know, there's a big difference right now, and I think the perspective in the U.S. versus Canada in terms of supporting infrastructure. I would say you all have it together. You guys are moving forward and you know what you're doing. You have the support and vision of the federal government, which is aligned with the provinces and the municipalities in terms of the vision for infrastructure. Listening to the minister today, there is a perspective here that you see what the issues are, you've defined the plans and objectives, and you're fundamentally looking at the activities that you need to move forward. The funding and the financing are key to address the cash flow and the capital expenditure needs. And this is where you're leaders and we're now laggards in the US. We are definitely not moving as quickly and don't have the level of federal support that we had before to support transit. And so there is a difference in now, I think, the progress between the US and Canada in terms of supporting infrastructure. You have the commitment, and it's not the commitment that we have in the United States right now. We would like to have that level of commitment. We have a policy that is supporting infrastructure, but we don't see the funding specifically for public transit right now. And we don't see the resources that are being there to support that. But I think there's some similarities. The US and Canada both understand that you have to have a balance between the expansion of projects and the state of good repair. And I think one of the things that we have seen basically is ensuring that there's still local support for these projects. And here in Canada, the provincial and the municipal support is there. In the US, there is a very big push now on the local side to ensure that they have that support. And there's a lot of ballot initiatives that have been passed on the local level to ensure that there's funding to match, hopefully, the federal funds that may come for these projects. And we don't use the funding tools as effectively as they're used here in Canada. We don't have an infrastructure bank. Alternative delivery is not one that is widely used for public transit, and we only have 2 P3 projects that have been initiated in the US. One in Denver that is operating, and a second one is in Maryland outside of Washington, D.C. that's under construction. So that's all we have in terms of P3s, although there is a active discussion by the administration to talk about engaging the private sector. However, the private sector has not stepped up and said, let's look at ways that we can structure these projects. And so we don't have that level of participation. But one of the things that we are looking at in terms of our projects are the density, land use, and the linking of land use to transit. Kevin put up, I get great examples in Vancouver, and there are places in the US in terms of Denver, Washington, D.C., and other municipalities that have really engaged in ensuring that transit-oriented joint development is part of the process there. So linking land use and transport planning is something that is increasingly being used. It's an opportunity for value capture in terms of funding and being a revenue source for projects. And it is, I think, in terms of looking at public policy and the socioeconomic benefits of transit, a major opportunity for us in terms of what we're doing in the U.S. But also, as we move forward and look at these transit projects in the United States, we also understand that you have to have the concerns about what are we doing to ensure, and I think when Kevin was talking about the brand, that you have to ensure that, one, you're offering reliable, convenient, and safe transit so you can continue to attract riders so that you can expand your system, but you also have to keep your system in a state of good repair. So you have to have the funding to ensure that you can operate and maintain that system while you're also talking about expanding the system. So I think, from my experience of actually working in the Obama administration, one of the things that we focused on was the community support. And community support and engagement, I think, is critical as these projects move forward and offer the community an opportunity to be engaged, to get their input, and to understand what their needs are so that you can efficiently link transit to land use and to the needs of the community. So I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the projects that we did and the programs that we had in the Obama administration, and as a way of looking at those as planning mechanisms to support growth in the community. So I had the opportunity to work for Secretary Fox as a acting administrator in the last few months of the Obama administration. And so on the public policy side, we developed what we call the Ladder Step program, which was an opportunity to look at several major cities, looking at the type of programs that they were trying to initiate to expand transit, and look at the whole socioeconomic issues around that, and offer them technical support to try to engage expansion and community involvement, and to reduce the impact of transit. The Secretary was very focused on not having our transportation and highway projects having an adverse impact on the community. And so we fostered a program that tried to ensure that transit did not have an adverse impact and that the community had an opportunity to be involved. And so I call these stimulating programs. So in terms of the policy at FTA and at DOT, criteria was added to all of the discretionary grants that primarily looked at ways to add criteria that really focused on choosing projects that would ensure that they offered workforce opportunities, development opportunities, and ways to improve the community. And there was a definite focus on integrating our projects into the community to ensure that we could develop jobs for construction as well as operations as we built these projects. And so the criteria that was added to the grants were, did it connect? Did it provide new jobs? Did it create jobs? And did it revitalize the community? And so that criteria was added to all of our projects to ensure that we could move forward. I think I went too far. Or my time is up. One or the other. Hint, hint. Yeah. Okay. And so all of this was to ensure that we were under the umbrella of sustainable communities and being able to make sure that we are linking to the community, we're linking and developing land use, and driving affordable housing and opportunities for those who are in the community. That's it. Thank you.